Welcome back to the Done Deal Show. Hit the like button. Make sure you are subscribing. Get that bell notification turned on as well. A number of transfer stories to jump into today. New contract renewals as well. We know this is going to be an epic summer. There's no doubt about it for transfers. Loads of big activities going on around the top 6 clubs. The Aston Villas and Newcastles are pushing to regularly be in those Champions League positions as well. Apologies for the voice. I'm still recovering from Man United versus Lyon. It was an epic night indeed. I also want to thank the many of you that have checked out mine and Mark Goldbridge's new podcast, Hot Take. It is available now on Spotify. A lot of people's number one choice to listen to podcasts. So go check out our page. Go and give it a 5-star rating if you'd be so kind, and check out the latest episode that's out. You can click on the link below, or you can scan the QR code on the screen, and at the end go and check that out. I'd love to get your feedback, but weekly we are releasing that podcast over on Spotify, so please support us there. But I wanted to start with some massive news, really, and this is in relation to Arsenal and Chelsea. A big story coming out of Portugal is that Chelsea are interested in signing Victor Gyokeres. And we saw Victor Gyokeres score another hat-trick last night for Sporting. They're top of the league, maybe only by goal difference by the end of today when Benfica play, but they've got a superior goal difference, and Gyokeres has been that driving force. He's en route to potentially winning the Golden Boot for Europe. I think the first player in over 5 years to win it outside of one of the top 4 leagues in Europe, demonstrating his quality, demonstrating his prowess. And the reports are that Chelsea are going to push. But at this current moment, it does appear that the Sporting striker prefers a move to Chelsea's rivals, Arsenal. And I think on the face of it, we all understand why. I think every Chelsea fan understands why. This isn't a dig at Chelsea in any way, shape or form. But Arsenal were just in a much better position in terms of challenging for titles and through to a semi-final of the Champions League. And I think most of us would agree, had Arsenal had a player of Victor Gyokeres' level in their team for the entirety of this season, there's a chance they're still in the title race of the Premier League at this point. And I think people would fancy them even greater for winning their first ever Champions League trophy. Arsenal are seen as the front runners. They're the favourites with the bookmakers. But what I would add to this in sort of not support of Chelsea, but, I don't do the zero. I often don't do the 0% chance. Chelsea have made a number of signings in the last 20 years, across my lifetime, that you don't expect them to make. I've seen them take players off of medical tables. I've seen them sign players who have already signed agreements with other clubs. So would it be shocking? Would it be the most shocking thing ever if Chelsea were able to land him? The answer is no. It does appear that Arsenal are leading the race, but I'm intrigued to see what happens with this. I'd love to get your opinions on it, though. Where do you think Victor Gyokeres is going to end up? Arsenal doing a lot of the groundwork. Reportedly that personal terms are agreed or will be no problem. But Chelsea throwing their hat into the mix. Give us your thoughts and opinions below. Now, another deal, another update involving Arsenal comes from Fabrizio, and I know Gooners are going to be over the moon with this. Talks between Arsenal and Miles Lewis-Skelly are underway, and a new deal is considered a matter of time. Andre Berta will lead the process with the club, and the player is lead the process with the club and player very happy together, as Mikel Arteta considers Miles as a key piece of the team now and also in the future. And look, I spoke to a few Arsenal fans that are quite close to their football club, and they believe, of course, this is just a shoo-in, that the deal is essentially agreed. It's a done deal. They're just crossing I's and dotting T's. I understand I said that the wrong way around. That's on purpose. Getting the legalities in place before publicly executing this deal. And look, Arsenal are a very strategic football club with their public relations. They will announce this at the right time as well. And I think, I think they'd love to maybe win a semi-final and then announce it, or win the final of the Champions League, then announce it. So expect it to be kept for something like that. But it is an important piece of business, because I think the world is looking at Miles Lewis-Skelly, one of the most talented young players in the world. His debut season, is just phenomenal. And every now and then, I say every now and then, we had one last year, we're having one this year as football fans. We saw Kobbie Mainoo break onto the scene last year and just looked like he'd been playing for decades. You know, man of the match performance in an FA Cup final, scoring the winning goal. Lewis-Skelly is having a phenomenal season at Arsenal. He's gone to the Bernabeu and just looked brilliant, made his England debut, scored a goal, looked amazing. So I'm not surprised that Arsenal want to tie him down to a new deal. They want to anchor him. They want to tether him to the football club for the foreseeable future because he's got the world at his feet. Talented, athletic, level-headed, works hard, just a phenomenal young man in every single capacity. And you think back through Arsenal's history, the likes of Cesc Fabregas coming in young and delivering, Jack Wilshere until the injuries really. You know, I think about it as a United fan. I've mentioned Mainoo, but you can go to Wayne Rooney that we bought. There's youngsters that came through like David Beckham and Paul Scholes, Ryan Giggs. It's a beautiful thing when your academy produces players like that because they are the lifeblood of your club. Or whether they buy them young or whether they come through the academy, they're the lifeblood of your football club. So look, Arsenal doing the right thing, just in case anyone out there has got any ideals. But I think he's going to be a star for the future. And well done to Arsenal and Mikel Arteta for delivering him. Now, before I go on to Manchester United in more detail, I saw a story about Man City that I wanted to speak about. And this here from Jack, is that pronounced Gale? I don't know how that's pronounced, the surname, to be fair. He says, Man City are considered front runners to sign the Nottingham Forest midfielder Morgan Gibbs-White this summer. I love this deal. If I just remove myself as a Man United fan, as a United fan, I don't like it because there's the possibility this works out brilliantly for Man City. But as a football fan, I love it. Gibbs-White has been brilliant at Nottingham Forest for the past couple of seasons. But there's a question mark. Can he do it when he comes up against low blocks, teams sitting deep, or is he more of a transitional player? He'll back himself to deliver at Man City, and why would he not? He's a confident, very, very talented young man. I'm just intrigued to see the outcome of this. I really, really am, because I was in and around Wolverhampton Wanderers a lot when he was coming up as a young kid. I remember being in the training ground, talking to the player liaison officers and all sorts of people at Molineux at the time. And Gibbs-White was the name on everybody's lips, that he was going to be this superstar. And it didn't quite work out for him at Wolves, but he's gone to Nottingham Forest. He's reinvented himself. He's delivering. He's on the periphery of England. I moved to Man City to work under the stewardship of Pep Guardiola for a couple of years. He's something he'll absolutely jump at. There's no doubt about that. There's no disrespect to Nottingham Forest, even if they make a Champions League position. But yeah, going to be a very, very intriguing one indeed to see whether he goes there or not. Would love to get your opinions on that in the comment section below. Now, staying in Manchester, according to the Daily Mail, Man United and Liverpool are amongst clubs competing for the signature of Lyon's Ryan Cherki this summer. And we all saw this man over two legs. I thought he was good in the first game, scored, but nullified in large part, scored the late equaliser. At Old Trafford, this man was amazing. And he has the sort of, the comment, I think it was Rio Ferdinand said it, and there was a lot of truth to this. He said he's got a little bit of Kvaratskhelia about him. It's not exactly blistering pace, but he's able to glide and move past people with such ease. He's got a good pass. He strikes the ball beautifully. He can score goals, and he's still very young. He can play centrally. He can drift out to the wide areas. That's so important in those 10 roles that Man United have. Liverpool are in there, and they've got an amazing chance. They're going to be champions of England, genuine chance of winning every trophy next season. United aren't that yet. But that doesn't mean we shouldn't be going for him. I want Man United in for this player. I'd be gutted if he ends up at Liverpool. Do you know what I love about him? Is that if there's space to run into behind, we saw it when they were counter-attacking United, he can do it. But if you're sitting behind the ball, he can also deliver. And we need players like that at Man United. I don't know what the kind of colloquial modern-day hipster term for it is, but he can play on the transition. He can play against low blocks. And it's so imperative that Man United improve the technical floor of our team to another level, because we need to unlock more doors, create more chances, and score more goals next season. And I hope that United can pull this off. If Liverpool do it, listen, there's a lot of talk already, because that's the way football works. It never sleeps. Can Liverpool next year, retain their title? Van Dijk staying, Mo Salah's staying. You add a player like Cherki to that team, and you're giving them a brand new dynamic. You really, really are. So I'd love your thoughts and your opinions on that. Another story coming out of Portugal is that Sporting are willing to sell their centre-back, Inácio, to Manchester United this summer. Now, it's a really interesting one because very talented player, been part of the Sporting setup for a while now in terms of the league titles that they've been winning and everything else. And he's a very, very talented player, a very, very talented player indeed, and, he's been, I don't know if he did his whole academy life at Sporting, but he's been playing for the first team at Sporting for about 5 years now. But he's 23 years of age, 14 international caps, over 200 games for his club. This is the type of young player I want to sign. He's young and got his best years ahead of him. Technically very good, strong, powerful. But he's played over 216 games for club and country. So he comes in with a large body of experience. So we're going to be adding new players that are young. This is the type of youngster that I like. Cherki is, I assume, very similar. And I'm going to actually go and check that now. I didn't even think about that before, about Cherki, until I said it there about Inácio. But he's 21 years of age. He'll be turning 22 in the summer. How many games has he played? See, look at that. He's played in his career now 193 games. And he also has about 40 to 50 games for France, for from under 16s right through to the Olympic team. So you're talking about a player with 220 to 230 professional games under his belt. That's the kind of youngster I want Man United to go for. I don't mind an 18-year-old there, a 19-year-old fledgling, but these aren't inexperienced players, which I think is really, really important to remember. So an ACO coming in, a Cherki coming in. If Man United were able to do that, I'd be over the moon. The other big story today is United are considered the front runners for Semenyo this summer. Every top six team, Arsenal aside, are interested in him, though. And look, before anybody, I know people will already write this in the comments. Have you got the money? And what if other clubs come in for him? Of course. I think it's going to be very hard for us to land Cherki against Liverpool. Very hard for us to land Semenyo against Liverpool or against Newcastle when they go in for him, or if Man City want to sign him. It's going to be very, very difficult indeed for Man United to get that done. I'm not denying it. But I'm talking about this from the perspective of this is who we're targeting. This is who we're looking at. There's been a lot of talk around Man United transfer policy. Who we're looking at? What's the age profile? How many games? Are they inexperienced? Are we going to buy players that are ready to go now? And what I would say, by and large, there have been names we're linked to of players that are young and fairly inexperienced. But we are also linked to a lot of players that have got, as we've already pointed out, 200 to 300 games under their belt. Semenyo, he's actually 25, played, and this is what's crazy about it. He's 25 years of age and played 260 games. So you've got some players like Cherki and Inácio who are 2, 3, 4 years younger, have played a similar amount of games to Semenyo. So it's why you shouldn't always focus on the age. You should be looking at the amount of games and the experience that these players have as well. But again, I like this player. And it isn't just because they're linked to United. Go back through the entirety of this season. I like it. And it may not be this individual that we get, but if we do sign 6 players this summer and they are of the sort of Cherki, Inácio, Semenyo level and the age profile, I'll be very happy indeed. The great thing I'm noticing is the majority of the players we're linked to, there's great physicality. There is speed, there is power, there is strength, there is height. Maybe not so much in Cherki, but again, he's a very different type of profile that I think can be a little bit of a crowning jewel to a system as opposed to the kind of work rate that most other players put in. Although he's not a slouch. I watched him get around the pitch. It wasn't as though he was unathletic and unable to beat an individual. He had some good strength as well. So look, I'm really excited about some of the players we're linked to, but a hell of a lot of competition. Can we afford it? Champions League football, when you read these stories, are a massive centerpiece around getting it done. So look, I'd love to get your opinions. Thank you for tuning into the Done Deal Show. As I mentioned, scan the QR code and go and check out Hot Take. It's out right now. Go and follow our Spotify page. Go and give us a little 5-star rating as well. It'd be amazing if you could go and support us in doing that. Until next time, everybody, take care of yourselves. Goodbye and God bless. And I'll see you all again soon. Peace.